Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever. Yeah, check it out. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of In a Good Way podcast. This episode is not heavy, but in a way, yeah, I guess it is heavy, right? But this is one I'm going to do by myself. I had actually made this video already, but I'm glad that I never uploaded it because I guess I couldn't really say that I had a breakthrough, and now I have, right? Like, a lot of things that happen because of what I'm talking about. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to name the video something to do with anxiety. So if you read the title of the video, then you already know kind of what I'm talking about. But, I'll start at the beginning and then just kind of go into something that happened really recently. Actually, last week, I believe. It's probably been like about a week now. And, like I said, it was a breakthrough and I'm really happy about it. And so, I feel like I'm moving in the right direction because I never really got answers to what was happening. So I'll just start at the beginning. Maybe in the beginning, I don't know if it was like 2018 or mid 2018. I had my first ever situation with anxiety, right? And it was triggered by someone I was dealing with. Like, believe it or not. Like, that's a crazy thing. It was triggered by someone I was dealing with. And they gave me anxiety because I had never, after, like, I don't know if I could label this person a narcissist, but that's kind of what it felt like. Because after now, I've seen videos where people are like surviving a narcissist and this and that, and all the mental trauma that dealing with someone with that kind of personality caused them, right? And I don't know if people that are narcissists even know they are or don't know they are, but like, people had very heavy situations with that, right? And, I had even dealt with someone, that had a drug addiction, and they never gave me anxiety. They did make me, I shared it in another video, how they drove me to the point of, I was like, I was involved with this person for a while, so, it kind of just drained on me, the drug addiction, to where, at one point it was like, I talked about, I don't know if I made a video yet about, but that was like one of my cases with divine intervention, that had something not intervened, that, maybe I was so messed up to the point of like maybe taking my life, but I think I shared that in another video, in the Let's Talk About Sex one, episode 4. So I won't talk about it now. If I go back and I look at that video and I didn't really go into detail, then I'll talk about it again. But if not, we'll just leave it on that episode 4. So you guys could go watch that if you want to hear that story, right? But this person, from what I could tell, they didn't have a drug addiction or nothing like that. And I don't know if it was more the narcissist thing, right? But they gave me anxiety. Like, I remember having like kind of a panic attack dealing with this person, because it was like pulling one way, that way. Like, I didn't know, with like that song, you're hot and you're cold, you're yes and you're no. So I had never dealt with that. And I don't even know why I was dealing with that to begin with. I think when I met this person, I had a string of like maybe bad relationships or something, to where I was just like, oh man, like what's going on, right? To where when this person, it kind of felt like too good to be true. But I don't really think like that. I don't really think of in terms of too good to be true. But I kind of was happy. I was excited. Like, oh, wow. Like, this person, like, if they have the qualities that they have, then I would be all in, kind of thing. And then after so much time, then things started popping up, right? Like, all the red flags, all the crazy stuff that then it felt very like a game, right? Like, this person was playing games. So, it gave me anxiety, right? So that was my first thing with anxiety. I'll get to the more serious stuff. So, but then fast forward to last year, 2021, I had a full blown like attack, right? To where, see, that's the thing is, I guess, I guess you might think like, why talk about this on a spiritual channel? But this is where it got crazy, was because it was almost like if something was attacking me, right? I was driving, I just started getting all this, it felt like anxiety, but in my head, it was like, there's no reason I should have anxiety. I already knew what it was at that point because I had experienced it with this person that had triggered it. But, then once I cut that person loose or cut him off, I didn't have anxiety no more. So I was like, okay, that problem was solved because I got it a few times dealing with this person. And it was like just thinking about that and trying to figure out in my brain. Or like, for example, I'm a Gemini, right? So happy I'm making this during Gemini season. So happy Gemini season to all my fellow Geminis. Our thing is obviously the mind, right? So me trying to figure it out, I guess, would drive me to that point of I just didn't get it. So mentally, trying to find an explanation until my brain finally said, I don't need an explanation, right? And I just cut the person off, and that solved my problem, right? So what I had to figure out was that I don't need an explanation. It's okay. Like, just cut the person out, My friend always used to say this thing before, and I never got it till after. But he, I think when I was with the person that, was I think at that point I wasn't with them no more, or maybe I was, but my friend would always say, like, hey, you got to cut the cancer before it spreads, or kill the cancer before it spreads, and I got it till later, right? Like, yeah, like sometimes if something's toxic, like you're trying to figure it out, or you're trying to figure out why that, or if you could, or if this person is going to change or something. Because, I was going to say if you could change, but you're never going to change someone. So don't even think like that. And it's not something I do anyways. I never try to change somebody. So like, that's really not a thing for me. It's trying to figure out if this person, like, is it something they're going through momentarily? Is it this or that or something like that? But for me, I figured out like I don't have to figure it out. You just cut the cancer, right? Like, that's it. The problem solved. So, that's why I laugh right now, because I was thinking about that. But anyways, so back to last year, right? So last year, what happened was, someone had told me even like 2 months before, something was already prepping me. That's why it was weird. Something was prepping me for that. Something was coming, right? Two people at least that I can remember at this moment had dreams about me where something happened and I was terrified. And, they were like, it was weird to them because I guess I'm never really terrified of anything. And so, like, it was strange. And, all this stuff was happening. But, it was like I was being protected. But still, I was like, they said they even had a dream that I called out. I was like shouting for like something to protect me. And then one of those dreams, like 3 wolves came and started running around me to protect me. And then someone else had a different dream, all this other stuff. So it was strange. And then I always wondered when like what was going to happen, right? And that was like at the end of 2020. And then, 2021 came. It seemed good. Like everything was good. Then all of a sudden, like, I think it was April maybe or May of last year. So it's funny that it's like about the 1 year anniversary exactly, a little past it. And so I was just driving and I started feeling all this anxiety, and I was trying to make sense of it. Like, there's no reason I should feel anxiety. And I kept pushing myself. And I drove probably for like an hour fighting this because it didn't make sense to me. To where finally I thought I had to come back home, and then I just turned around, and about halfway home, I probably had another 30 minutes to go. I just couldn't do it no more. I pulled over, and I was literally like, I got out of my car just shaking. I was stuck. Like, I didn't know it was almost like something was hitting me with a taser, but I could still kind of move. But I was just like, I felt like I called, that I needed someone to go pick me up. My brother went, and then he took my nephew, and my nephew drove my car back and everything. But I even told them, like, do I call 911? And they're like, oh, shoot, is it that bad? I was like, yeah, like, it's that bad. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening to me. And so during that time, I went to the hospital twice, to the emergency room. They gave me pills, and I luckily, like, I took them 3 times, and 2 of those times they made me so depressed that I was like, I'm not going to take them no more. it was like borderline suicidal with those pills, like just a deep depression. So I was like, and it's good. That's why I've always figured things out by myself, because I know that, like, so I didn't take it as a bad thing. Like, oh, I had this bad reaction. It was actually good. Like, okay, cool. That's not gonna be the way for me. So I gotta figure this out. What's going on with me? And so after that, there was a time it got really bad. It was lasting months. It wasn't going away. I couldn't even leave my house. It was just really, really bad. And there was a point where I looked at my family. I told them, hey, if this thing continues, I'm not gonna be here. Like, there's no way I could live like this, because it was that bad, right? It was just the craziest thing I had ever experienced. But the good thing was, then I started like figuring out what it was, and there was all these people, all different religions. Yeah, like the Christian person, the I guess people that were like self-proclaimed witches or pagans. There was native people. There was like no religion type people. I wouldn't call them atheists, but just no religion. So there was all these different walks of life, all these different spiritual backgrounds. All these people were going through stuff. And some were seeing like entities, right? Like demons and this and that, And so then it was like something was going on, right? I was trying to figure out, okay, because at one point I was like, okay, it's just anxiety, whatever. I don't know what happened to me. Maybe it's still unresolved things from my brother passing away in 2019. And, it's still within, because, yeah, I was finally starting to feel like, I came, like you never get over something like that, but more at peace with it. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't hurting as much, right? So it had been 3 years, or 2 years at that point, right? 19. Yeah, so it was 2021. And then I thought maybe, yeah, all the COVID stuff, like the anxiety, all the stuff, like maybe I was feeling other people's energy, right? Because I'm very, I think I've managed to shut down my empath thing, but there was a time where it was like, I was so connected to everything. It was exhausting, right? Like, for example, we just had that school shooting, right? And, which is horrible. But I didn't feel it like, till after, once I saw, then obviously it hit me. But, and just things like that, just real quick, I'm not going to veer too much off, but, that to me is like the most cowardice thing. I get it. I saw that the guy that did it, he had been through all these things, which is important to bring up because I'm not someone that believes in the Band-Aid thing, right? Just like with my anxiety thing. I didn't believe, I'm just going to pop pills. I couldn't, and I'm glad I didn't have a good reaction to the pills, because then that probably would have solved my problem momentarily, put a Band-Aid on it, and that's it. So the same with that guy, right? He was bullied, all this stuff, and I don't know what, like, I guess he didn't have just sometimes that's all you need, one person that can change your life, right? I had that not just one time, but I had that plenty of times in my life to where people came and pushed me in the right direction. So I don't know what happened with this guy that caused that, but to just say, like, the different things they're trying to say, like, oh, it's the guns, and I don't care. Like, to me, really, I'm indifferent to it. Whether they put stricter gun laws or not is really not going to change my life, right? It really isn't. But that's a Band-Aid. That's a perfect example of a Band-Aid thing. Like, that's not the problem. Obviously, the guy was, had problems mentally. And obviously, he's not the first one, right? And, because I grew up at, like, when I grew up, tons of people had guns, because I grew up around the whole gang stuff. So, I saw a lot of guns. I people had guns, all that stuff, right? So it's not something that, what's gotten worse is like the mental stability of people, for sure. Because I remember, I think Columbine was like the first time really that there was a huge school shooting, and that thing was huge news to us when we were growing up. And then from there, it just kept escalating, right? And I remember this person wrote a book where they had like, I don't know, anywhere from like 30 to 50 examples of school shootings that had happened by that point. Every single one of those kids had been on some kind of medication too. So that's why it's, maybe that's why I was meant to bring that up, about how even me taking those anxiety pills, they messed me up. And so how many of these kids, I don't know really what it was. But anyways, why did I even bring that up? I don't know why I brought that up about him. But at the end of the day, it was a cowardice act. Like, I don't know, something didn't register with this person about knowing what a cowardice act it is to hurt the children, right? So I don't know where. Let me try to retrace my steps. So anyways, okay, so I think where I left off was I was talking about not putting a band-aid on things because I lost my train of thought there. So when I was trying to figure out everything, it was like, then I went to it like the spiritual route, right? And I got lucky that there were some ceremonies, right? And I've been to tons of ceremonies, sweat ceremonies, different kind of ceremonies. But the sweat ceremony is always very healing. It's always been something that has helped me if I'm kind of get thrown a little off course. Like the sweat would always help me, right? So I got lucky that there was some sweat ceremonies after I was going through that, and it happened to be really far, so I had to have a friend because I couldn't even drive. They drove me like 5 hours to the ceremony, and I tried to drive a little, but I just couldn't. Like I would get the anxiety, and I don't know why it was happening when I was in my car. Like that was the weird thing. It was almost like it was done on purpose, like so I couldn't run away from the problem, right? Like I couldn't just take a drive. I couldn't nothing. Like I had to face whatever was happening to me. And so I went to the ceremony up north. It was like 5 hour drive. My friend had to help me. And then we went, and during the ceremony, like I couldn't stay in the sweat, right? I just couldn't finish. I couldn't finish it, and I had to ask to get out. And the person that was running the sweat wanted to work with me. Like she was very compassionate, which was weird too, because it was my first sweat that I had ever been to that was being ran by a woman, right? But it was like I needed that at that moment. At that moment, I needed that nurturing, that very, that motherly kind of nurturing and sensitivity, which was, I understood it, right? I was like, wow, this is I was seeing everything happening, right? Like everything was meant to happen the way it did, but I just didn't understand why. And so even for me, it hit me, right? It's like falling off a horse and not getting back on. I was like, wow, I've never not finished the sweat. Like I went in and then I had to get out, and then they asked me to come in again, but then I couldn't finish it and I had to be out again. And so, but it helped me, like, her being an elder and just showing that much compassion and really trying to help me figure out what was happening. And then I think a week later there was another sweat closer to home, and again my friend took me, the one that I had gone with, to that sweat. And this one was horrible because I couldn't even stay. Like as they're about to start the sweat, I couldn't even stay in. So it really hit me. It was like that, like falling off your horse and just that's it. I'm tapped out. Like like I got hit in the the first round just started. I got hit and I couldn't get back. I was just like, forget it, I'm not going back out there. Like that's what it felt like. I felt like ashamed, right? Like for someone that's always finished the ceremonies or this and that. Like anyone that understands what I'm talking about as far as sweat ceremonies, I was just out, and it really affected me, right? And I couldn't. I don't know. Then after I kept getting invited to them, I didn't want to go anymore because it was like, it traumatized me. I was like, man, I don't even want to be in that enclosed space and feel that anxiety. Like I couldn't even do it, And so after that, I just kept turning it down. And finally, like I said, maybe a week ago, I was invited again, but I got tons of signs. Like it was so exaggerated. It was like signs for my brother that passed away. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have made an excuse to not go to the sweat. But it was clear my brother wanted me to go. It was even to the point where the person that invited me said the sweat was in the city where my brother was working when he passed away. And it didn't even end up being there. It was like a whole hour away from that city. So that's why I was like, okay. Like that was like 6, 7 signs in a row. Boom, 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 boom. So that's why I knew my brother wanted me to go, and that's why I agreed to go. And, I made it through the whole sweat, right? I made it through the whole ceremony. It was a very powerful ceremony. I was helped a lot even by not only the elder, but the person that invited me too. Like, I'm forever grateful for that, right? And, the next day, I don't know if it was maybe a test. Like, I got some anxiety, but I dealt with it. it was weird because I hadn't been having anxiety like that. Or actually, I think it had been coming back, and I think it has to do with the eclipses as well. I won't get into that. That's another long thing. But so that was like my breakthrough, right? Like my breakthrough was about that. Like, I had been hit, like, I had fallen off the horse. I wasn't getting back on. It had been about a year. And then, it took my brother that's not here with us in this world right now. But obviously still there, right? That all the signs I got that made me go to this ceremony. Like, he wanted me to go. It was clear, like, he wanted me to go. So that's why I went. And then, it was just such a powerful ceremony for me. And I feel like, I had this breakthrough now. So now I'm on, like, more of a path to healing than I was. Because I had dealt with anxiety. Like, it wasn't really coming anymore. Like I said, I'm not someone that I guess even that, right? I would prefer not to be here than to be hooked on pills and all that. Like, I'm just not someone that's going to live like that, right? But I take the hard route, right? I take the super hard route, which drives you to that point, right? Because I'm like, I'm not gonna put in a Band-Aid on nothing. I'm gonna figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, then I'm gonna die trying. Like, that's my mentality, right? And so it's been a year of, ups and super downs, but like now more ups, right? Like, I don't even really feel like I can't deal with it. And when I started getting the anxiety, like, I think it doesn't even compare to last year. Like, it was so bad last year. Like, I told you, like I said, like, I was ready to, like, I'm not gonna live like this, So, that was my situation. Like I said, I never really figured out. Like, I saw that so many people were going through spiritual stuff. Like, they were being attacked. Like, even the Christian guy, I think he was seeing all these demons and all this stuff. I haven't really got to talk in depth about what happened. I had a friend who's his girlfriend was just like well, I don't know, and they got kids and everything. So it wasn't like she would want something to happen to them, but she was like, I don't know how to help you. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know how to help you. And she kind of just let him. And, he had to go to the emergency room too, all this stuff, I had a friend that, she saw an entity, another friend that felt something, and her friends told her that they saw the entity, like some darkness. So I don't know what was it, like this darkness was spreading through the land around that time. And a lot of people that were sensitive to it felt it, including myself. Like, I don't know what was going on. Like, I even heard people, like, I researched that, like, when people talk about dark night of the soul, even though, like, for traditional people, that's really not a thing. Like, it's more like, I guess, modern new age, like that whole dark night of the soul thing. But I even researched that to see, was that what I was going through? Was I going through my dark night of the soul? And man, that was heavy. Because I had friends that said, oh yeah, for me it lasted years. So I was like, man, I'm not going to be going through this for years, So I researched about the dark night of the soul. I guess, like I said, it's more of a new age term or modern times term. But if that's what I was going through, then according to modern times, then who knows, right? But it definitely was like a whole, if you want to call it dark. But it wasn't, it wasn't so much dark. It was like it was, I guess, just a time of learning, and I feel a lot stronger because of it, because I've never felt anything like that before, right? I've never felt like that, to not have control of your own body, right? That was the thing, to not have control over like what you're feeling, your emotions, kind of thing. That was the thing. It was almost like I was pushed back to the point of being like an infant, right? Like, I had to depend on other people to drive me from point A to point B. So it humbled me definitely to, I don't know if that was part of the lesson, to also working as a community, right? Like, I don't know if that was part of the lesson I was meant to learn during that time. But what else happened? So just the last thing was, when it all started too, there was this interesting thing. Like, I had a dream that I was covered in ticks, and one tick bit me. And so in real life, that started happening. Like, I went hiking. I had never, it was like at that time, there was an outbreak of ticks. I never seen so many ticks. Like, I went hiking and my whole pants were like, I don't know, at least 20 ticks. So I'm there like, throwing them all off. And then so that happened a few times. And then the last time I went, like, I guess I thought I had got them all off, and then I guess a tick ended up biting me, right? But I felt something crawling, so as soon as I felt something, I lifted up my shirt and I saw the tick, but when I went to pull it out, it bit me, and it was a hard bite. It literally left a ring and everything. I went to the doctor. I got paranoid about the whole, like, the Lyme disease or stuff that they say ticks carry, but they said it was good. Like, I just, like, I took it out seconds after it bit me, and then I just, like, I don't know, scraping in there or whatever to, like, with alcohol too, to, like, clean it out or whatever. But the doctor said there was nothing wrong with me as far as the ticks. But it was crazy because I had dreamed it before, right? And then also there was a dream about all the purging. I don't know if it was as soon as the tick bit me in the dream, and then I started purging all this black stuff, like nasty, nasty stuff. So I don't know if it was all tied in. They were showing me even that happened before all the, the stuff. And I don't know if the tick was part of the trigger too, and everything that was coming. But then, like, this year, I had a dream that I was completely covered in scorpions. So last year, it was all covered in ticks. And then one bit me. This time, it was all covered in scorpions. And I'm trying to get the scorpions out. But eventually, like, I take off my shirt. I'm taking off the scorpions. And there's a friend there. I'm asking my friend, like, hey, do you see any more? And they're like, no, I don't see any more. But there were scorpions of all sizes. Little ones, big ones, all kinds of sizes. But then when I woke up, I realized the scorpions weren't harming me. It felt more like they were protecting me. They were all over me to protect me. So that was the interesting thing that I realized. So last year was the ticks, which they like, bite me and everything. And then in real life, it translated to real life and they really bit me. And then this year, I was covered in scorpions, but the scorpions were protecting me. So I even keep expecting to run into scorpions when I go hiking and all that. I'm sure I will as it gets hotter. It was an interesting dream, which I'm sure, the significance will be shown. But all that aside, I know this went long, but, I really wanted to go into detail about the anxiety and everything. It feels like, for me, it's always the spiritual route. It feels like I got a hold of it now, and being able to complete that ceremony, the last one I went to, like, it was about as much of a breakthrough as you could ever hope. Like, even at the end of the ceremony, I talked and I said, like, it feels too good to be true. Like, I don't think, like, I wasn't all, like, I was more just taking it in, right? I was, I won't talk a lot about the ceremony because, it's personal, it's private. But I'll just share that I was like, it was just too good to be true, but I did it, right? I felt like I did it. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for my brother that guided me to go. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for my brother, in the spiritual quest or life that invited me to go. And then the elder that was running the sweat, and there was other people there too as well. So everybody there felt like, a family, right? Like, everyone's there, and I was grateful that they were there with me in this little journey. And, I was able to release that, hopefully, right? So I don't know if anyone will get anything out of it. Maybe like trying something spiritual. If you've been dealing with anxiety, if you've just tried one route, maybe that was your route, just medication, and you just said, well, that's it, that's what works, But for me, I guess I wanted something more permanent. Like, I just couldn't be, just stuck on pills. And I'm glad I went, like, something that was that traditional helped me. I did try the pills. Luckily, I guess it had a bad effect on me, And now I know, like, the one thing for sure is I think before I always used to be I wouldn't understand people with anxiety. Now I'd never doubt what they feel is real. Like, it's the worst feeling, especially like those full-blown panic attacks. I woke up a few times even like choking, like gasping for breath because the anxiety was so bad. It went into my dream even, I guess. Even when I was asleep, I felt it and just jumped up gasping for breath. And again, I thought, like, was something attacking me or was it just the panic, the anxiety? So I felt the whole depths of that anxiety. So I know what those, like, everybody that has it goes through. And then I met people that take pills every day and everything. They opened up to me about it, a few people. And so, I realized, like, yeah, it's such a huge thing. But I don't know. I guess everyone's walk is different. For me, I needed to know why. I really feel I never got my answers. I don't know what was happening around last year. Maybe I'll finally get the answers eventually. I feel like I'm going to start going to ceremonies again. And it had been a while, like the whole pandemic thing threw a wrench and everything. Maybe it was that, even just being away from my spiritual walk like I was before. I feel like even though I still practice everything myself, like I really don't have a day there's not some kind of spiritual thing included into it. Like every single day, like that's how I live, right? But I think even doing things in a ceremonial way it kind of shifted everything. So, well, I think that's it. My dogs are starting to make noise. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys got something out of it. If not, if there's anything maybe I didn't leave questions, comments, I'll try to make a video, write it more with notes. I didn't really put any notes down for this. I just had made this video, and then I felt like little signs were giving me like the nudge that I was supposed to make it again. And like I said, I didn't upload it, but at that point I hadn't had the breakthrough. So now at least I can make this video, and share that breakthrough that I had. And I'm just thankful that I had that opportunity and that I was guided to go to the ceremony. So yeah, thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you think it'll help anybody, and that's it. Feel free to watch the other episodes that I've made. This is episode 9, and yeah, feel free to watch those and you'll enjoy it. You enjoyed this one. All right, peace. Thanks. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it. You know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.